Morning students, welcome back to morphology of flowering plants. Already we started the lesson. Slides also I had shown you. See this morphology of flowering plants. And afterwards we learned that morphology is the study of external structure of organism. Morphology is the study of external structure of organism. Angiosperms, that is flowering plants are coming under angiosperm, is characterized by presence of roots, stems, leaves, flowers and fruits. This is an angiospermic plant only shown there. See the structure of the angiospermic plant. Morphology is the study of external structure of organism. Morphology is the study of external structure of organism. Angiosperms, that is flowering plants, is characterized by presence of roots, stems, leaves, flowers and fruits. So presence of roots, stems, leaves, flowers and fruits. Main parts of flowering plants are root system and the shoot system. Underground part is root system and the above ground part is shoot system. This I had already seen. Three type of root also I had shown. It is the underground part formed from radicle of embryo. See the structure of radicle. Radicle, from the radicle only cotyledon only seen. This one is cotyledon and inside the cotyledon plumule is there. From plumule shoot system develops. Radicle root system develops. Three type of root already we had discussed. The taproot system, fibrous root system and the adventitious root. It consists of primary roots and its branches, or secondary roots, tertiary roots seen in dicotyledons. Primary root is the elongated form of radicle. Mustard plant. Primary root is elongated from radicle. Mustard plant only you had seen there. And in monocotyledons, primary root is short-lived and is replaced by a large number of roots. These roots originate from the base of the stem to form fibrous roots. In monocotyledons, primary root is short-lived and is replaced by large number of roots. So these roots originate from the base of the stem to form fibrous roots. Roots that arise from parts other than radicle. Example: grass, monstera, and banyan tree. Region of meristematic activity, region of elongation, region of maturation, and root pairs. It is covering the apex of the root and it is protecting the tender region. Apex is very tender, only that region is protecting. This all I have told you. Then also for that the region just above the meristematic region. Meristematic region I didn't say. Seen above the root cap. Meristematic region is seen above the root cap. Cells are very small, thin walled with a dense protoplasm. They divide repeatedly. Now we will be learn about modification doing by the stem. Modification by stem. Ready? So the leaf. The leaf is lateral, generally flattened structure borne on the stem. The leaf is a lateral, generally flattened structure borne on the stem. It develops at the node and bears a bud in its axil. The leaf is a lateral, generally flattened structure borne on the stem. It develops at the node and bears a bud in its axil. The axillary bud later develops into a branch. The axillary bud later develops into a branch. Leaves originate from shoot apex or apical meristems and are arranged in an acropetal order. Acropetal order means the larger leaves are on the below. Larger leaves are below and tender leaves or shorter leaves are on the top portion. That arrangement is called the acropetal arrangement. Larger leaves are showing on the below lower portion of the stem only. Larger leaves are seen on the lower portion of the stem and up to the apex, towards the apex, shorter leaves or smaller leaves are seen. So they are the most important vegetative organ for photosynthesis because chlorophyll is present in the leaf. So leaf is doing the function of photosynthesis. A typical leaf consists of three main parts: leaf base, petiole, and lamina. A typical leaf consists of three main parts: leaf base, petiole, and lamina. Leaf base, petiole, and lamina. The leaf is attached to the stem by the leaf base. The leaf is attached to the stem by the leaf base and may bear two lateral small leaf-like structure. Two lateral small leaf-like structure called stipules. Here stipules in the diagram. Stipule. Two lateral small leaf-like structures called the stipules. In monocotyledons, the leaf base expands into a sheath covering the stem partially or wholly. In monocotyledons, the leaf base expands into a sheath covering the stem partially or wholly. In some leguminous plants, the leaf base becomes swollen. Leguminous plants, the leaf base becomes swollen, which is called a pulvinous. Pulvinous you can see in touch-me-not plant. Leaf base becomes swollen, that is called pulvinous. The petiole help hold the blade to light only. Through the petiole only, the leaf base is holding towards the light. The petiole help hold the blade to light. Long, thin, flexible petioles allow leaf blades to flutter in wind only. Long, thin, flexible petioles. Petiole is flexible, so they can flutter in the sunlight or through the wind, thereby cooling the leaf and bringing fresh air to leaf surface. Petioles allow, the function of petiole only we are discussing now. Petioles allow leaf blades, this is leaf blade, lamina is called the leaf blade. Leaf blade to flutter in wind, thereby cooling the leaf and bringing the fresh air to leaf surface. The lamina or the leaf blade is the green expanded part of the leaf. Lamina or the leaf blade is the green expanded part of the leaf. The lamina or the leaf blade is the green expanded part of the leaf with veins and veinlets. There is usually a middle prominent vein which is known as the midrib. There is usually a middle prominent vein which is known as the midrib. Veins provide rigidity to the leaf blade. Veins provide rigidity to the leaf blade. These are the veins. The line going through that one, that is called the vein. So vein provides rigidity to the leaf blade, act as a channel of transport for water, act as a channel of transport for water, minerals and food materials. Water, minerals and food materials. The shape, margin, apex, surface and extent of incision of lamina varies in different leaves. The shape, margin, apex and surface. The shape, margin, apex, surface and extent of incision of lamina varies in different leaves. So this is called incision. This cutting seen at the border, that is called the incision. So what are different for the leaf? The shape, margin, apex, surface also. The shape also vary, different shape seen here, different shape. And margin means this one only. Some are having incisions like this, some are not having the incision, or some incisions are vary in shape also. So now we are going to next one, venation. Mainly there are two types of venation as the diagram shows. This one is reticulate venation and this one is parallel venation. The arrangement of veins on the veinlets in the lamina of leaf is termed as venation. The arrangement of veins on the veinlets, branch of vein is called the veinlets. The arrangement of veins on the veinlets in the lamina of leaf is termed as the venation. When the veinlets form a network, the venation is termed as reticulate. Reticulate means like this network line. Network means going here and there, not in order. When the veins run parallel to each other like this, parallel to each other within the lamina, the venation is termed as parallel venation. The venation is termed as parallel venation. Leaves of dicotyledons plants generally possess reticulate venation. This is the characteristic of reticulate venation only. Reticulate venation is a characteristic of dicotyledonous plant and parallel venation is the characteristic of monocotyledons. So venation all of you understood. The arrangement of veins and veinlets. The arrangement of veins and veinlets, veins and veinlets in the lamina of leaf is termed as venation. In the lamina of leaf is termed as venation. When the veinlets form a network, the venation is termed as reticulate. The venation is termed as reticulate venation. When the veins run parallel to each other within a lamina, the venation is termed as parallel. Leaves of dicotyledonous plants generally possess reticulate venation, while parallel venation is the characteristic of most monocotyledons. Now we are going to the type of leaves. A leaf is said to be simple when its lamina is entire or when incised, the incision do not touch the midrib. Simple leaf. So these all are simple leaf only. Simple leaf, see, this is also simple leaf. Simple leaf only. Simple leaf, understood? So the leaf is said to be simple when its lamina is entire, or when incision is there, then it is not reaching to the midrib. This incision is not reaching to the midrib. When the incision of the lamina reach up to the midrib like this, then the incision of the leaf is reaching up to the midrib, breaking it into a number of leaflets. The leaf is called a compound leaf. These two are compound leaf. A bud is present in the axil of petiole in both the simple and compound leaf. A bud is present in the like this. A bud is also present in the axil of both the simple and the compound leaf, but not in the axil of leaflets of the compound leaf. These are the leaflets of compound leaf. Leaflets of the compound leaf not there. A bud is present in the axil of petiole in both the simple and the compound leaves. So in both the simple and the compound leaves, but not in the axil of leaflets. Here it is not there. Axil of leaflets it is not there. Here it is not. This is the axil of the leaflet. Each of this leaf is called a leaflet. So in the axil it is not there. The compound leaves may be of two types. In a pinnately compound leaf, this is pinnately compound. Pinna means on lateral side. Here pinna. Lateral side. These two are on lateral sides only. So the compound leaves may be of two types. In a pinnately compound leaf, a number of leaflets are present on a common axis. Number of leaflets are present on common axis only. This is the common axis. Of rachis, which represents the midrib of the leaf as in neem only, as in the neem leaf. In palmately compound leaves, this is pinnately compound leaves only. Both the sides only arranged, and more than one leaf is arranged from the common axis, that is the rachis, which represents the midrib of the leaf as in the leaf. This is the midrib. This line, this stem line is structure. Midrib. And now we are saying this is the palmate compound leaf only you are seeing now. Palmate compound leaves. Palmate compound leaves appearing like a palm only. So it got the name palmate compound leaves. On lateral sides arranged like here pinna, then it is called a pinnately compound leaf. And how palm like that arranged, then it is called a palmately compound leaves. So the leaflets are attached. Common point, that is at the tip of the petiole, as in silk cotton only, tip of the petiole. This is the petiole. At the tip of the petiole only it is the tip of the petiole. At the tip of the petiole only leaf are. So two types of leaf understood: palmately compound leaves and the pinnately compound leaves. Example: silk cotton, palmately compound leaves of silk cotton, and pinnately compound leaves of neem. Example also you have to by heart. Now we are going to learn another term, that is phyllotaxy. Phil means leaf only. Tax means classification. Classification or arrangement of leaves is called a phyllotaxy. Arrangement of leaves. So phyllotaxy is the pattern of arrangement of leaves on the stem or branch. Phyllotaxy is the pattern of arrangement. Phyllotaxy is the pattern of arrangement leaves on the stem or branch. This is usually of three types: alternate, opposite, and whorled. Alternate, opposite, and whorled. You see the alternate one, see that one leaf erases and on one side and other leaf on the other side. Only one leaf erased from a node. That is the characteristic of alternate. Alternate means only one leaf erased from a node. One leaf only erased from a node. Here, two leaves erased from a single node. Two leaves erased from a single node. So they are opposite only. So this is the example of opposite type. Opposite type. If more than two leaves arise from a node, then it is called the whorled. Whorled. It is appearing like a whale only. So, three types of leaves are there: alternate, opposite, and whorled. In alternate type of phyllotaxy, a single leaf erases. A single leaf erases at each node. A single leaf erases at each node in alternate manner, as in China rose, mustard, and sunflower plants. China rose, mustard, and sunflower plants. In opposite type, a pair of leaves erase at each node. A pair of leaves erase from each node and lie opposite to each other. In Calotropis and guava plants. If more than two leaves arise, then it is called a whorled only. Arise at a node, then it is called a whorled. So phyllotaxy all of you understood. Three types are there. You see. Now modification of leaves. So, leaves are often modified to perform functions other than photosynthesis. Leaves are often. What is the function of leaf? The main function of leaf is photosynthesis. So, extra to the main function, normal function, what it is doing, that is coming under modification. They are converted into tendrils. Sometimes leaves are converted into tendrils or for climbing, as in peas, or into spines. These are the leaves are modified. This leaf-like structure is stem one. Stem is converted into leaf and leaf is converted into spines in cattle. The fleshy leaves of onion and garlic store food. The fleshy leaves of onion and garlic store food. In some plants such as Australian acacia, the leaves are small and short-lived. In some plants such as Australian acacia, leaves are small and short-lived. The petiole in these plants expand, become green and synthesize food. Leaves of certain insectivorous plants such as pitcher plant, Venus flytrap are also modified leaves. Leaves of certain insectivorous plants such as pitcher plant, Venus flytrap are also modified leaves. Leaves are often modified to perform functions other than photosynthesis. They are converted into tendrils for climbing, as in peas, or into spines for defense, as in cattle. The fleshy leaves of onion and garlic store food in some plants such as Australian acacia. The leaves are small and short-lived. The leaves are very small and short-lived. So the petiole in these plants expand, become green, and synthesize food. Leaves of certain insectivorous plants such as pitcher plant, Venus flytrap are also modified leaves. The inflorescence, a flower is a modified shoot, whereas the shoot apical meristem changes to floral meristem. A flower is a modified shoot, wherein the shoot apical meristem changes to floral meristem. Internodes do not elongate and the axis get condensed. Internodes do not elongate and the axis get condensed. The apex produces different kinds of floral appendages. The apex produces different kinds of floral appendages laterally at successive nodes instead of leaves. When a shoot tip transforms into a flower, it is always solitary. Solitary means one flower only, alone, separate, only one flower. When a shoot tip transform into a flower, it is always solitary. The arrangement of flowers on the floral axis, this is only inflorescence, group of flowers. The arrangement of floral axis, the arrangement of flowers on the floral axis is termed as inflorescence. The arrangement of bunch of flowers, floral axis is termed as inflorescence. Depending on whether the apex gets converted into flower or continues to grow, two major types of inflorescence are defined, the racemose and the cymose. Two types of inflorescence are there, racemose and the cymose. In racemose type of inflorescence, the main axis continues to grow. Main axis continues to grow. The main axis continues to grow. The main axis is growing only. In racemose inflorescence, main axis continues to grow. Flowers are born laterally only. Flowers are born laterally. Main axis. This is main axis is growing like this. Main axis is growing like this. Flowers are laterally only. Flowers are on the lateral side like this. Both the sides are born laterally in an acropetal succession. Acropetal succession, already I told you that the larger flowers are on the bottom, larger flowers are on the bottom and the small are on the apex. That is acropetal succession. In cymose inflorescence, the main axis terminates in a flower. Main axis is terminating in a flower. The difference understood. Here the main axis is growing. Flowers are arranged on the lateral side only in racemose. Flowers are arranged on the lateral side, but the main axis is growing. Here, the main axis is tended with the formation of a flower. Now it will not be grow. In racemose, cymose inflorescence. In cymose type of inflorescence, the main axis terminates in a flower. The main axis terminates in a flower, hence is limited in growth. The flowers are born in a basipetal order. Basipetal. Basipetal means this flower will be bloom first, larger flowers. And on the base, the smaller flowers are bud are there. This is basipetal arrangement. So two type of inflorescence only we are learning now. A flower is a modified shoot only. Flower is forming from the shoot only. Actually, shoot is modified to form a flower for the function of reproduction. So apical meristem changes to floral meristem. Internodes do not elongate and the axis get condensed. The apex produces different kinds of floral appendages laterally at a successive nodes instead of leaves. When a shoot tip transforms into a flower, it is always solitary. Shoot tip transforms into a flower, it is always solitary. The arrangement of flowers on the floral axis is termed as inflorescence. Floral axis is termed as inflorescence. Depending on whether the apex gets converted into a flower or a group of flowers, two major type of inflorescence are there, racemose and the cymose. Racemose and cymose, all of you understood, I think. Now we are going to the flower. The flower is the reproductive unit of angiosperms. It is mainly for sexual reproduction. A typical flower has 4 different kinds of whorls arranged successively on the solen end of the stalk or pedicel. This is a flower. Flower diagram now given, full flower. This solen structure seen here now on a solen structure. The flower is the reproductive unit in the angiosperms. It is meant for sexual reproduction. A typical flower has 4 different kinds arranged successfully on the solen stalk or pedicel. This is the solen stalk or pedicel. Solen portion, solen stalk or pedicel called thalamus or rachis. Thalamus or rachis. Receptacle. Thalamus or receptacle. These are calyx. This is calyx. This capillary structure is calyx and petals including corolla and male is androecium. Calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. Calyx and corolla are accessory organs. Calyx and corolla are accessory organs, while androecium and gynoecium are reproductive organs. Calyx and corolla are accessory organs, while androecium and gynoecium are reproductive organs. Reproductive organs. In some flowers, like in lily, the calyx and corolla are not distinct. In some flowers, like in lily, the calyx and corolla are not distinct and are termed as perianth. When calyx and corolla are not having any difference, both of them are united, color difference also will not be there. Then that is structure, the fusion of calyx and corolla together, not distinguished structure, is called a perianth. When a flower has both androecium and gynoecium, when a flower has both androecium and gynoecium, it is bisexual. Bisexual. A flower having either only stamens or only carpel is called the unisexual. In symmetry, the flower may be actinomorphic. Actinomorphic means radial symmetry, or zygomorphic means bilateral symmetry. That already we had learned in animals. So, actinomorphic means radial symmetry, zygomorphic means bilateral symmetry. When a flower can be divided into two equal radial halves in any radial plane passing through the center, it is said to be actinomorphic. Example, mustard, datura, chili. When it can be divided into two similar halves only in one plane, only in one particular plane, it is zygomorphic. When a flower can be divided into two equal radial halves in any radial plane passing through the center, it is called to be actinomorphic. When it can be divided into two similar halves only in one particular vertical, zygomorphic. A flower is asymmetric if it cannot be divided into two equal halves through any vertical plane passing through the center, then it is called asymmetrical. Asymmetric. A flower is asymmetric or irregular if it cannot be divided into two similar halves by any vertical plane passing through the center, as in can. A flower may be trimerous, tetramerous or pentamerous. Trimerous means three petal. Here how many petals are there? So it is a hexamerous. Not only petal, all the unit, all the four walls unit should be in same number. Trimerous means three in number. Petal 3, stamen 3, carpel 3, calyx 3, like sepal. Trimerous. Tetramerous means all these four components. Sepal, petal, stamen and carpel are 4 in number than tetramerous, 5 in number than pentamerous. Floral appendages are in multiple of 3, 4 or 5 respectively. Flowers with bracts, bract is there, then it is called a reduced leaf. Bract is a reduced leaf found at the leaf base of the pedicel. Bract is found, then it is called a bracteate, and those without the bract is called a bracteate. Flowers with the bract, that is reduced leaf, found at the base of the pedicel are called the bracteate, and those without bract is called the abracteate. This is bract only, this one is bract. So based on the position of calyx, corolla and androecium in respect of the ovary and thalamus, the flowers are described as hypogynous, perigynous and epigynous. In hypogynous flower, the gynoecium occupies the highest position. Gynoecium occupies the highest position while the other parts are situated below it. The ovary in such a flower is said to be superior. Example, mustard, China rose and brinjal. Ovary is superior. This is hypogynous. Ovary is superior. All other floral walls are below that only. These all walls, petal, stamen, gynoecium, androecium, all are under that only. Ovary is superior. Superior means above. And here, perigynous. So if gynoecium is situated in the center, gynoecium is situated in the center and the other parts of the flower are located on the rim of the thalamus, almost at the same level, then it is called Rim of the thalamus almost at the same level, then it is called a perigynous. The ovary here is said to be half inferior only, half inferior, almost the same level only. All the floral balls are same level, then it is called the epigynous. So in epigynous flowers, the margin of thalamus grows upward, enclosing the ovary complete. The margin of thalamus grows upward, the margin of thalamus also growing upward and enclosing the enclosed structure seen, enclosing other parts of the flower arise above the ovary. Hence, the ovary is said to be inferior, as in flowers of guava and cucumber, and the ray florets of sunflower. Hence, the ovary is said to be inferior, as in flowers of guava and cucumber, and the ray florets of sunflower. So, see this one. This is hypogynous flower. These two are perigynous only. These two are semi-inferior ovary. And fully inferior ovary, this is fully inferior. This is full superior. So hypo, based on the position of calyx, corolla and androecium in respect of the ovary and thalamus, this diagram also see. The flowers are described as hypogynous, perigynous and epigynous. In the hypogynous flower, the gynoecium occupies the highest position, while other parts are below that only. The ovary in such a flower is said to be superior. Example, mustard, China rose and brinjal. If gynoecium is situated in the center and other parts of the flower are located on the rim of the thalamus, almost to the same level, it is called a perigynous. These two are perigynous. The ovary here is said to be half inferior. Example, plum, rose, peach, etc. In epigynous flowers, the margin of thalamus grows upward, enclosing the ovary completely and getting fused with it. The other parts of flower arise above the ovary. Hence, the ovary is said to be inferior, as in flowers of guava and cucumber and the ray florets of sunflower. So, diagram also you have it. This is an important question. What are the different type of flowers on the basis of position of ovary? Position of ovary only this question is. All position of calyx, corolla, androecium in respect of the ovary and thalamus only. Understood? So this diagram also you have to draw. This question many times asked also, important question only, this classification.